A 95-year-old veteran gets evicted from his home so the city can house illegal immigrants. Then the same city gives those illegals fake driver's license, fake papers, and protection from ICE until now, because ICE just raided the one place nobody thought they would, the courthouse. And what you're about to see, you won't believe how deep this actually goes, y'all.
They did to the people in Island Shores. They gave us time to get out, but they never said when, and they never said they were going to get us out. And then one day, there's a thing on the board, a notice on the board, you gotta be out by March 15th. I think that gave us like a month and a half to find out where we're gonna go. I thought my suitcases were gonna be on the curb because I'm not that fast. If it wasn't for my daughter, they would have been on the curb. But that's what it happened, and that was it. I said, no, you're not moving me. And they said, yes, we are. And everything was done behind closed doors. Yeah. And we didn't have a chance to actually make any attempt to stop them because there wasn't enough time.
This man fought for this country only to be thrown out of his home for illegals. That's the America, thank God, we're not living in anymore. But under the Biden administration, that's the America that we were living in. You ever notice the only people who are disposable in this country are the people who contribute or built some part of it? And if you think that's where the disrespect ends, oh no. Let me show you what they're doing out there in New York, y'all.
This is Savannah Hernandez standing in front of the now closed Roosevelt Hotel, and if you guys remember this area, this was truly the epicenter of the illegal immigration crisis in New York since 2022. And this is the first time I reported in front of this area, and it hasn't been completely surrounded by illegal immigrants. Now, a lot of people are celebrating that these hotels are finally shut down, but the reality of the matter is that migrants are simply being moved into federally funded homeless shelters throughout New York at this point. Now, the city of New York just signed a $1 billion contract for emergency shelter services throughout New York, and as of January of this year, Adams himself stated that around 51,000 illegal immigrants were still utilizing city shelter services. And the contract that they just signed was for the 86,000 people that are still experiencing homelessness in New York. And that includes, of course, New Yorkers and illegal immigrants. Now, something interesting that's going on as well. The Department of Homeless Services is actually instructing their employees not to cooperate with ICE at all. They're stating not to tell ICE or law enforcement officials the immigration status of anybody in the homeless shelter system. On top of that, they're stating that an ICE detainer is not even enough to allow access into homeless facilities throughout New York. So this is one of the ways that illegal immigrants are still being sheltered in a city. And just to recap as well, New York has already spent $7 billion on the illegal immigration crisis for free hotel rooms, free medical care, food, transportation. Let's not forget that 47,000 free plane tickets were given to illegal immigrants since 2022, so they could fly from New York City to anywhere in the United States of America that they wanted to. This is the exact same program that Jose Ibarra, the illegal that murdered Laken Riley, utilized to fly from New York City to Georgia to go and commit that horrific crime. So that's what's been going on in New York since 2022. Again, these shelter systems are being closed down, but the Department of Homeless Services still instructing their employees not to cooperate with ICE, and a $1 billion contract now signed to continue these emergency shelter services throughout New York City. So just an idea of what is going on in the streets of New York.
So they didn't just kick veterans out. Not only did they kick veterans out, they handed $1 billion in taxpayer money to house illegal aliens in hotels. And it gets worse, man. City employees were ordered not to cooperate with ICE. Think about that. You got your government telling law enforcement not to do the job. I'm trying to process that. Trying to make that make sense to me. And if you wonder how the problem keeps getting worse, it's because the fraud runs even deeper, y'all. Yep. They're handing out driver's license to people who can't even drive. Let me read this. Investigation reveals that a NYC driving school was fraudulently fast-tracking driver's licenses for illegal aliens, with some not even knowing how to drive at all. T&E driving school reportedly took in cash to pay off employees in order to issue licenses to illegals without taking the proper test or having any driving experience, with some skipping the road test entirely. What? So let me say it again. They're handing out driver's license to people who don't know how to drive? And it ain't an accident? You kidding me? Put this on a big screen so y'all can see. Like I said, it ain't an accident. It's a pipeline. Straight cash, bribes, no tests, no vetting. These aren't just broken policies. This is organized, well, at the time, broken policies. This is organized corruption disguised as compassion right here, y'all. And if you think it stops at fake licenses, nah, let me show you what they're doing on camera. Yes, on camera. I'm going to bring this one out. I can't play the music on here, but when I got deported, but I got fake papers. Hold on, what is that? And came back in 2 days. She literally filmed herself breaking the law, got deported, flew back with fake papers after that, and then started flexing about it on camera like it's a joke, like it ain't being captured in 4K at this moment. This is how broken this is, man. This is how broken the system, I guess, was under the Biden administration. And obviously we got cracks in it right now. No fear, no consequences. She just laughing at it. I guess, man, why the feds in her particular case was looking the other way. Once they said, nah, we are done.
Now, where new immigration laws take the crackdown a step further, the laws create sweeping criminal penalties for anyone who provides shelter to an undocumented immigrant. The American Immigration Council says they make it illegal for a church to offer temporary shelter, a landlord to rent out a room, or a family member to live with someone who is undocumented. Now, where new immigration...
Tennessee is sending a message. If you help them hide, you go to jail too. I can't say I completely disagree with that. I want to know in the comments, do y'all disagree with that? Churches, landlords, friends, it don't matter. You break the law, you've been held accountable, which is the standard I can get within this. This is how you start taking your country back. And while Tennessee's laying the hammer down, ICE is making moves of their own, y'all. And it's not what you think.
Two men restrain Brenda Valencia, a housekeeper arriving at work. On the ground, they handcuff her as she cries out. One witness who asked that we not show her face said they first thought the men were construction workers based on the way they were dressed. If you look very closely, you can see badges hanging from their necks. But that's the only sign they're law enforcement. In a statement, ICE said agents arrested Valencia for being present in the U.S. after entry without inspection, adding she was released with an ankle monitor due to child care issues. Bridget Browning is the president of the Hotel Workers Union. One of her members recorded and sent her the video of the arrest.
It's awful to see someone who's not a criminal being treated worse than we treat dogs at the Humane Society.
No, this ain't a drill, man. This is real. ICE pulled up at a job. No games. Now, you want to ignore the law. The law's not ignoring you anymore. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all can go ahead and try to tiptoe around it, but I promise you it's going to take big steps back towards you. And this was just a warm-up because what they hit next, nobody saw coming. Because they didn't just pull up to the job site. They pulled up to that courthouse.
We captured the moment two men went from migrants
do not approach interpreters
to detainees. It happened last week at Dallas Immigration Court when nearly a dozen people showed up to have their asylum cases heard. Their cases were dismissed by the judge, and when they walked out of the courtroom, plainclothes federal agents were waiting to take them into custody. Immigration attorney Belinda Arroyo says targeting migrants at the courthouse used to be a rare event.
What does it do when an ICE agent is in the court and they're not dealing with somebody who's currently in ICE custody?
Well, I think it makes everybody be on edge.
It's not just happening in Dallas. Asylum seekers in San Antonio were seen crying and begging for help as they were led away in handcuffs. Two Department of Homeland Security officials tell CBS News ICE is asking immigration judges across the country to dismiss the court cases of certain migrants so the agency can arrest them once their hearings end and place them in a fast-track deportation process known as expedited removal. Outside of Miami Courthouse, this migrant in cuffs says in Spanish, "It's a trap." The Department of Homeland Security released this statement to CBS News, saying Secretary Noem is reversing Biden's catch-and-release policy that allowed millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be let loose on American streets. On President Trump's first day in office, he reversed a 2011 policy that limited ICE arrests at sensitive locations like schools, churches, and courthouses. Arroyo says this new policy is part of the administration's crackdown.
We literally have to tell people, like, no, it's okay. We're going to be there with you. Nothing's going to happen.
But can you guarantee that?
But I honestly can't say that now, right? Like, I can't say that the way that we are seeing this administration move is that the reality is I don't know from day to day where we're going to be at.
One of the men that we saw who was detained was a Venezuelan man, according to the Dallas Morning News. And after the session, I went up to the court clerk and asked for a copy of the docket to check more names and see if anybody in there had a record. But they said that they immediately shred the docket. In order for us to get a copy, we'd have to file a Freedom of Information Act request. So we did. In Dallas, Omar Villafranca, CBS News.
I see this coming down. Here. If you don't have respect for a given country's laws, then you don't have any respect for the individuals who live there. Yeah, I just read at the courthouse. So what? You can't even show up to fight your deportation now without getting snatched up. Because, all that time you had is done. You had more than enough time. They let this thing get so bad that now ICE has to clean it up inside the system that was supposed to protect them. And guess who's crying about it? You already know.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida.
Oh, Lord, I'm turning it up, y'all.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people who are, I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor.
So basically, concentration camps, really? Whenever the law gets enforced, here they come. The media, you got the race cars, the outrage machine, basically. But let me ask you this. What was the outrage when a 95-year-old veteran was evicted? And as American Papa Bear points out, so by that logic, all prisons are concentration camps? Should we do away with all jails and let criminals run free? And why they screaming all on their broadcasts? And this is the people actually doing this job. Look at what their lives are like. My God, Tom Homan actually shares to you the family dynamic.
My wife's living separately from me right now, mainly because I work so many hours, but mostly because of the death threats against me. She's someplace else. I see her as much as I can, but the death threats against me and my family are outrageous. So, but my boys are both growing up. One followed my footsteps. The other one still bankrupt me in college. But
man, he can't even live with his own wife because of death threats, all for enforcing a law, y'all. I mean, this is what happens when you stand up against a broken system. They come for your job, your family, your friends, anything attached to you, everything. But you want to know the part they'll never show you on the CNN or MSNBS? The borders are actually closed now. You want to know how I know? June border numbers are in. Tom Homan. The Trump effect. The total Border Patrol encounters for the entire month of June 2025 was 6,070. That's less than a single day under Biden. As a matter of fact, the total number of encounters is less than half of a single day under Biden. Wow. On many days also, none of the 6,070 were released into the U.S. Zero. President Trump has created the most secure border in the history of the nation, and the data proves it. We have never seen numbers this low. Never. God bless the men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol, and God bless the men and women of ICE. The interior arrests and consequences help to drive down illegal immigration. The Trump effect keeps America winning. Thomas D. Homan, U.S. Borders Off. This was posted yesterday, July 1st at 5 p.m. Look at it. I mean, zero releases, zero catch and release. And the last administration tried to tell us that this was impossible. Basically, they told us that we needed immigration reform, which was a lie. Turns out, all it really needed was somebody with a spine. Crazy, right? Look, man, they told you that this couldn't be done, that this was all too complicated. Nah. It was never really complicated. It was corrupt. And now the system is being dragged. They got kicking and screaming back to a law and order. You ain't got to like it, but the truth, man, is right here. Y'all hit that like button, comment on what city you think ICE is pulling up to next. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank y'all for coming to join me. Please go check out a friend today. You could be saving their life. You never know. Peace.